Bro, what happened today? Good Lord.
Those haters were
It was you sending me these. I thought it was just like, what the heck is Caleb's picture?
It was me.
It was him.
That's my boy Steve, man. Hey, what you talking about?
What you talking about? How about the wedding?
That's what I'm going to get into.
Huh?
Ad hoc.
Oh.
We're on.
You're on, Dusty Kenter?
Well, hey everybody, how y'all doing out there in TV land of North Carolina? We're recording live actually here, and where we at?
Cherokee.
We're in right out of Cherokee on the boundary.
Yeah, okay. But where was this place at? What's this
Dogwood Farms.
Dogwood Farms. I didn't see one dogwood tree while I was here, but
Actually, that's all them lined
We're all
up.
lined up.
those are dogwoods.
Yeah, they
Wow.
were full blown.
And that's crazy. We're on Dogwood Farms on Resurrection Sunday. And they can't.
We got
Well,
Heidi Davis in the background.
Heidi Davis is in the background back here.
Yeah.
She,
Look at this little guy. I got to see him this morning.
oh yeah.
Where was he at?
Right down at the bottom.
So Heidi,
His mother is eyeballing me.
Heidi, you went for a walk this morning.
No, honey, I drove. No,
Let's
I
be
drove
clear.
right up to that little cow.
I thought that you might
It
have
was
had.
warm this morning. What happened?
No, it was
And
not.
then I lost my debit card.
I thought you might have had some
I
inspiration
had-
from
didn't have
being
a jacket
at
on,
their
it's fine.
wedding to go
That is
for.
incorrect.
Okay.
I had to go
That is
home
incorrect.
and put on a hoodie
I drove myself to the
and a
McDonald's.
leather jacket.
Okay.
the McDonald's.
The McDonald's.
Heidi, tell the story of how we first started talking.
Oh, that's funny. So on Facebook, I used to be in all these
Y'all
recovery
listen.
groups, and I was in all these recovery groups until I realized that they really don't want a whole lot to do with Jesus. And so I get this message from this Caleb McCoy. I'm like, who on earth is this Caleb McCoy? And I was like, all right, accept. I'll just add him to people I don't talk to. So then he messages me and he's asking me some questions about the Lord, and I was just like, I don't disciple dudes. Like, that's a rule. Like, women do not disciple dudes. I was like, I don't know, something about him seems safe. He seems all right. So then I put on Facebook one day, I was like, oh, I need a Jesus vacation. And then Caleb sends me this message and said, hey, we've got this place in Tennessee. If you and your friend would like to come and stay. I was like, is this guy a serial killer? Like, but I really need this Jesus vacation, so I'm going to take my chances. So I was like, all right. So my girlfriend and I came, and I was like, well, we should probably meet them.
Your girlfriend.
My girlfriend, Stacy. And so we went out to have coffee with Caleb and Caitlin, and I was just like, they are the nicest serial killers I have ever met in my whole life. And I was like, who on earth? Just you don't know me from Adam. I could be anybody. And I just fell in love with them that day. And it's so funny. The thing I think that impresses me the most, I wanted to say this at the wedding, but I didn't get a chance, was just when I met Caitlin that day, and we were out sitting and we were talking about and having coffee, and she was just like, I just don't feel that, really sure in the word. Like, I don't know that I will be able to, be able to talk about it the way you do. And 6 months later, I'm talking with the girl. She's like, and then I was in John 3:16. I was just like, look at you. And it's been such a beautiful journey just to watch both of you all just grow in the Lord and to see where you were a year ago. It's like, what, a year and a couple months?
Be a
And
year.
a couple months ago.
A year you got baptized almost a year ago.
To now.
Yeah.
And to see just how Jesus is moving their life has just been
So from the crazy
serial
killer
Yeah.
to standing as a bridesmaid
right,
next to Caitlin.
exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So wild.
And I'll tell you when I really think that the Lord just ripped you guys to shreds, because that's what he does. Like, he just crushes you and makes new wine. Is on that run. Like, just watching that run and the chains. And it was like things fell off as you were going. Things fell off. And the world fell off.
And the crazy thing is that, like, today, when everybody was speaking underneath the tent, is all the stories are in line. Different circumstances,
Yeah.
but they're all in line. Everybody saw the same thing. Everybody experienced the same thing, both observing them and interacting with them at the same time.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It is powerful. And I was just saying to Caleb in the other room, I said, I think that there will be people that witness this wedding and just say, okay, I can do this.
There was people coming up to them at picture time saying that. What was Dusty's? When did Dusty meet?
Actually, it was she introduced me to the serial killers.
Yeah, I introduced everybody in Clyde.
The day that this serial killer got baptized.
Yes.
So, but that's crazy because the original, my intentions of being friends was to hook him up with Chris Dew in South Carolina because they were closer.
Close enough. Yeah.
And then
You don't know how much you're gonna fall in love with these two until you meet them.
then they
That's the
decided,
first time we met Dusty.
Like you guys are just special.
when y'all decided to go on that run.
That's
and
the
then,
first day we met Dusty. That picture.
That's it. Yeah, that's on my website. Y'all ended up coming through Mayfield
On the Oklahoma run.
on the Oklahoma run. He got to speak at our church.
No.
They both did.
It's recorded.
You
And,
guys called me that day when
yeah.
they came through. I was speaking at Andrew's event.
We came back from Andrews.
Yeah,
event
just come back.
and
That's
met him
right.
there. And it just kind of just kept lining up. And before we know it, Caleb still ain't hooked up with Chris Dew, and we're going all over the country. And that's the way it just kind of worked out. I mean, it didn't work out the way we wanted it to, the way we thought it would. But
We ended up bringing a group.
Yeah, remember we come up there and got to praise the Lord with you for a few days.
yeah, and we came in here. I brought a couple of kids from the student ministry, and
And now here you are being.
yeah, no, less than a year later.
Again, another same story.
I'm in the same boat, yeah. But it's just how it all, just how he lines it all up every single time. It's not. There has to be an author. It has to be.
Absolutely. You should share how everything was trying to block you from.
Today, yeah. Oh, I mean, it's like a 7-hour drive. Took me 12. And like Tennessee got flooded.
I'm not even just getting out of town though.
Well, let's start the morning off.
Hold
Enterprise.
Enterprise.
Because I'm not driving my truck down here, and Enterprise can't show up on time, so I'm gonna leave my truck at home. So I said, well, heck, I'll just drive over there, and I pull out and I start out and I hit the corner of a trailer and it busts my tire. So now I got a flat tire. So I call Enterprise
Flat
back.
tire number 1.
Flat tire. This is flat tire number 1 on my truck that's still flat in Mayfield that I haven't even took care of yet. So I decided, I called Enterprise back and they said, well, we've already sent him to Murray Airport. So the driver's gone to Murray Airport to drop some people off, and then he's coming back through to pick me up.
Dusty, quit looking in the mirror.
So the people, anybody that's watching on YouTube or something, Dusty is facing a mirror and he's watching himself talk in the mirror.
Well, I'm trying to see who's behind me.
Okay.
I'm bilingual. There's
Holy
a difference.
Ghost.
Carry on. Carry
So,
on.
so I decided to get on my lawnmower,
Oh my gosh.
and I start mowing, and I get my mower stuck.
Drive down to Cherokee on your lawnmower.
Well, no, I just started to mow while I was waiting for him to come pick me up from Enterprise. And so then, after I go get my vehicle from Enterprise late, like 12 o'clock, I come home and I did not lock Mamba in her kennel, and she tore.
So Mamba is his big pit bull.
Old English. Old
Oh
English
yeah,
Bulldog.
yeah, that's right.
And she's a big baby until she gets out of a trash can. You're not home. And she peed and pooped on the floor, and then my vacuum broke, and I had to go to Walmart and get a vacuum, come back and get all that up. And finally, I got to where I could go drop her off, and I couldn't drop her off at a certain time. I had to wait for that. So finally, I got out of town at about 3:30, 5 hours later. Mm-hmm. Well, on the drive, that 7-hour drive, it's funny. Here we are. They're getting ready. You know the story tomorrow. Jesus is going to walk down the Emmaus Road, a 7-mile road, and a 7-hour drive coming to here. And it took more than this. And he ended up not going the full. He stayed right there longer because he was going to keep on going on the journey, but he stayed longer. It took longer than 7 hours for me to get here. It took me 12 because of the rain. The rain on the, a nice Tennessee Friday night with everybody was driving.
Mountains too,
Well, I gathered that up by conversations before the wedding.
Yeah, I don't like I love the mountains. They're great to look at from a distance.
I'll
But
tell you
driving
what,
through them,
you get used to
Going
it.
When you're
through
not
those
used
Smoky
to it.
Mountains, it gets taxing.
It's flat in Kentucky.
well, this time it
It's
took me
beautiful.
it took me on down
But
40
But
though.
he's right next to the.
How about the
Missouri
last
line.
time I was here and I saw that pig and that fox? After the Lord told me, did I ever tell you guys that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I come through the mountains. Took 12 hours. I get here. I'm dead tired. I get up late and I'm putting my shoes on. It's 10:30. I should have already been at the men's warehouse. I get to men's warehouse. They're packed out. Finally get all my stuff. Start driving down the road. And I get on the phone with Caleb McCoy, and my tire blows out on the rental car
In Asheville.
in Asheville,
An hour away.
an hour away. I have an 8, and I am like, oh my gosh, what do you do? Do you know that if your tire blows out on a rental car from Enterprise, you have to pay for it? Well, they're not getting that one back. That's another
You have to
story.
pay for the tire?
Yes, you have to fix the tire. If you don't have roadside service on your contract, you have to pay for it. So, I learned that lesson. I will put roadside on there any other time.
That's crazy, first of all.
That's ridiculous. But we love Enterprise. They'll pick you up late. But so, anyways, through all that and on the way back. Now, this is now check this out. On the way back, I am listening to. I'm listening to someone talk about the Emmaus Road, and I developed this thought about a week ago when I was preaching on Sunday, and it's almost like when you want to welcome things not to go your way. You don't want them always to go your way because if they just go your way, you don't know what's going to happen. But you know that if they're not going your way, you know what I'm saying? Just like when they didn't find him in the tomb, it wasn't going their way, and he was missing there. And it's just like if it's going your way, something's not right. But when it's not, you almost like want to welcome that. You want to welcome the unexpected. And I'm gonna tell you, I've been a horrific offender of not wanting to get married, and I'd always say it would be God willing because it will not be Dusty willing. But I'm gonna tell you today, after what I witnessed, and with the journey, man, that whole that whole journey, like we just talked about, from Heidi meeting them, and then me meeting them, and thinking what we were going to do was hook him up with Chris Dew in South Carolina, and he has never even met Chris Dew yet. A year later, but we're still going, and we're still doing what God wants us to do, and we don't do it perfectly. I don't claim to be no holier than thou. You know what I'm saying? I may be knocking it out of the park in one area of my life and failing in another, Yeah. It's like somebody's rolling up in a Lotus, but another guy's rolling up in the bus. But the guy rolling up in the Lotus is going crazy because he can't afford his bills. But the guy on the bus, he's happy as can be just because he's got to ride somewhere, And it's about the perspective of things and seeing just the whole original. It was just all original today. The music, the way it was set up, and the rain was coming again, and it was cold. But it was like, if it was hot outside today, we would have been miserable.
You know what was the most beautiful thing that I heard in this? There were so many beautiful moments, so it's hard to pinpoint any particular one. Like you with your dad, about wrecked me over there. I was like, I will not cry these eyelashes off. But was when Caleb said, I'll be with you in the desert. And I'll be with you. I don't remember what the next one was. Maybe it was field. Overflow. But I was just like, I love the fact that you recognize that you will praise him in the storm. Because you'll be foolish to think, like there is so much growth in the pain. There's so much growth in the hard times. There's so much growth and we spend our whole life running from that and praying to the Lord that we don't get that.
Right.
Or being mad when we do get it.
But
Yeah.
that's when
we
we
grow. That's when you're
grow.
roots.
Yeah.
And like it's almost like it's the opposite. Like we need to pray for the roots. Like Lord, give me the storm, because what you guys are becoming are sequoias. Mm-hmm. And
I just read that post too that you had put up last year.
Yeah.
When he was out there, I was just reading that
And
post
that's what you
about
guys
the
have
sequoias.
become. You're sequoias. So sequoia trees, they're real shallow, and so
It's my mother's maiden name.
Is it really? They're real shallow, and it's not until their roots intermingle and they become strong, and nothing can tear them out of the ground. But if they stand on their own, they get ripped out of the ground.
Yeah.
And so, like, to not have storms doesn't give your roots a reason to intertwine so tightly, So the storms are beautiful, and they're God made for these moments. Plus, so that you can also, like, it's minimal. And I hate it when people say, so we can take part in Christ's suffering, because the truth is, we'll never know what it's like to go to the cross as the sin of the world. But in some small fraction of a way, to know that your suffering helps you to understand who He is better, and to embrace those things and those storms. I give such great marital advice for girls not married, but it's so true. You know, the pruning is beautiful, and it's hard, and it's horrible, and it hurts, but it's so necessary.
What I came to realize is that, you know, I went through a bad year, like for in my mind for a second. And when I look back over, man, I had the best year of my life last year. And then what it's not always about what is happening to you, but in the bad times, but in the end, what He's trying to do through you and produce something in you to, you know, something else that has to come through rejection, that has to come through pain. There's stuff that grows in the valley that won't ever grow on the mountain.
That's right.
And
Amen. That was good. That will preach right there.
you gotta take the woes sometimes, and that's the way it goes, man. And I learned that no matter what is out of my control, it's never out of His hands.
Well, and you know, it's like when you read the Bible, they don't talk about the olive, they talk about the oil. And the only way to get to the oil is to crush the olive. Mm-hmm. You got to crush all that pride, all that self-reliance, all of that. And
that's
just always press into Him.
That's exactly what was happening on Wednesday and Thursday of this week, when y'all thought things were falling apart.
Oh, he had to listen to me all the way.
And I was just like, listen, at the end of the day, rain, snow, groomsmen, bridesmaids, none of that stuff's going to matter.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's going to matter is what happens on that altar.
That's right.
The commitment that you guys are making to each other is going to be just as beautiful as sunshine and a million people.
Yeah.
It's not about all that other stuff.
That was great.
Girls' shoes don't fit, oh well, you know.
Yep.
Somebody can't make it, somebody can't show up, oh well.
Good.
You know? It's
They're not
regardless.
supposed to be here.
Yeah. I mean, it's all those things are just circumstantial, and it's not what. That's not why we're here.
They
that's
missed out.
not why we're doing it.
And, you
we
know-
don't need to even waste our time stressing over it.
And I was stressing over it, and I wasn't even getting married.
Well, and you know that, you know, they say that the fruit is how you know that you've changed and how you know that you're saved, right? It's the sanctification. It's how you react to things. And like, it was so funny because like this morning when I lost my debit card, I let out a string of expletives. I was like, oh Lord Jesus, someone needs some grace and mercy for what just flew out of my mouth. But I didn't go into McDonald's guns a-blazing, so I knew that I had made some strides.
Well,
Like,
that,
you know, girl, yeah, I had made some strides because there was a time Heidi Davis would have blown into McDonald's and been like, somebody better give me back my debit card.
but that, and then just a few hours later when your keys went missing, and you were just like,
well,
it's all good.
She was doing a real
I
good
looked
job.
at
She was holding her composure well.
I was holding it though. I was holding it.
Yeah, yes, you was.
Yeah, I could see it across.
Because
I
you
could
I
do
wasn't
the job
drunk
and sip
either,
those
so that's
Guinness.
progress. There was
Stir it
maybe a
up.
wedding I went to, honey, where I
Right.
don't remember being there.
Because you understand the significance.
Well, and it's not about me. And for the first time in your life, like when you have to have Jesus to understand that none of this is about you. None of this is about you. Because we live in such a self-seeking world where it's all about you. And
Yeah, I feel.
it's so nice to like step back and go, I'm about to make it about me. It's so nice to step back though and say, I'm not the same person. Like I can be fully present and be so happy regardless of what else is going on. Just because I get to be with my friends who I love and see this day. And like Dusty said, if somebody wasn't here,
Which is the same conversation we just had in the
Oh,
truck the
really?
other day.
Yes,
Exact
we
same
was just talking
conversation.
about being present and just listening and being there for people.
I didn't want to have my phone. Like I just wanted to like witness.
I did have
Dusty was
mine.
filming it.
That's always filmed.
I wanted
I
mine.
literally just found my phone like 20 minutes ago.
Right
I got
there
some
on
real
the
good
table.
pictures
Yeah,
too.
so, but one thing that I'm so thankful for is I never, if you knew, like before we met,
Yep.
I wouldn't have ever dreamed of having a wedding like this.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Like before I rededicated my life, like I would. It
Been
wouldn't
very
have been
secular
Yeah.
and just.
Yeah.
And just to be able to have so many people around me that I hold so dear to my heart help me pray over my family and my loved ones, and just this very important day, you know, it's that to me. I'm gonna hold that because I people like my mom and my sister and the kids, they got to hear that, they got to witness that, and I know that
Yeah.
anointing has went out, you know, and that's people like Deja and Rachel and you know, they got to experience that, and that's what I want people here to see. You know, I want them to see the love of Jesus, and I feel like through our union and through our wedding day, that's what happened. The love of Jesus Christ was shown, and that's where, I mean, you gotta think about it. This is one of the, you know, like people were mourning over the death of Jesus. Didn't know that he was going to rise or anything like that yet.
They didn't know Sunday morning was coming.
And
You
so
see that post I put up today?
I did see that post.
Caleb, your niece came up to me. Oh, it broke my heart in a million pieces. I almost started bawling when we were standing here. She had her little bucket of flower petals, and she came up to me and she said, I'm scared. And I said, why are you scared, honey? She said, because the last time I threw rose petals was at my mom's wedding. And I just went, oh, and I just grabbed her and I hugged her and I was like, it's going to be great. You're going to do such a good job. And it was just her little tender heart, you know, and like to see her smiling and be able to be in joy.
That's it. I want them to.
They got to be
to
Develop
I want-
a different feeling about what they're
right.
feeling.
I want us to be able to lead them and to show them like what it is to be a kingdom couple. What
Serve
and exactly. And
get out of self and to be a blessing. And
we
you
took
know.
them.
And I'm
Last
sorry for all the
weekend.
hate you guys get. It's amazing how two people who do so much for this community that you have backlash from the community because you do so much for the community.
But those people
Right.
ain't doing nothing for the community.
Right, except talking about the people who are doing
So
something.
for the community,
But
yeah.
that's just normal. Like,
That is.
it's just normal.
I had somebody the other day say something to me
Kool-Aid.
about.
Liking their posts.
They said,
Yeah. On there liking and loving their posts.
Yeah.
somebody said something to me the other day about something I'd said, and they said, now would Jesus say that? And I said, I don't know, because you know why? If Jesus would say it or not, because it ain't none of my business if Jesus said it or not, because he didn't say it. So I don't know if he didn't say it, but it doesn't matter because it ain't none of my business. So otherwise, you mind your own and stay out of mine.
Yeah, explain that to us.
No, because really, your opinion of me is none of my business.
That's true.
What you
so
think
true.
about me is not. There's two kinds of business: my business and none of my business.
That falls in the none of my business category.
That falls into that. And that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter because reality is my validation of who I am happened 2,000 years ago on the cross. And, if he would die for me then, it don't matter what you think of me now.
And that's kind of what I was trying to explain today when we was exchanging vows and everything is we look to other people. Oh, you complete me. I need you to complete me. I need you to step up and be my other half. I'm already full in Jesus.
Amen.
She's full in Jesus. And as long as we continue to put him in the center of our relationship and just be there for each other where we fall short, that's the main thing. You know?
Yeah.
Not searching for worth and value and allegiance to like, I need to have you. Like, you know what I mean? I know that he's going to bless that, but you know what I mean? Is that making sense?
Well,
Certainly.
when you are in a kingdom relationship, you should literally sit so comfortably in the Lord that you know, like, I don't care if you're over there talking to that person. I know who you are, I know who I am, and I know who our God is. And therefore, talk to who you gotta talk to. Do what you gotta do. I'm not, like, to be able to be in a place of such comfort, like, trust. Like, there's just certain things when you are truly a kingdom couple, like, you don't even think about. Like, it shouldn't even be a concern. You know, it's like,
I
he's
can
an hour
literally-
late coming home.
I can literally count on one hand how many times we've had a discussion or an argument over another person. Like we have.
I mean, there's respect there that you give just because they're your significant other. But yeah.
None of those things even come up because.
Do you remember when I called you after I met Caitlin? I was like, and you were getting. I think it was while you were on your run, and I said something like, "Get ready for the chicks to start coming out of the woodwork, and they're going to try to come in between your relationship." I'm telling you right now.
Who'd you tell that to?
So Caleb.
To Caleb?
Yeah, and he was like,
"What did he say?"
Really, Heidi? And I said, "Really?"
Hold on. Give me that. Give me that impression one more time.
Really, Heidi?
Really, Heidi? Really, Heidi?
And that's the number one thing he'll use against you. These all of a sudden these people just start rising up, got all this special interest in you. They never had interest in
They
before.
still will. But like when you know who you are, and that's what's so beautiful, was when you are solid in who you are to each other. It's like ridiculous. It's like, oh, here they go again.
I'm surprised y'all are still here right now. Like, y'all are married now.
I know.
If it wasn't Easter Sunday tomorrow.
I told him, I was like, well, you're going to do a short podcast.
Oh, you guys doing a podcast tonight?
We're on a podcast right now. We've been on
We're
podcast.
recording all this right here.
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
You're not on camera.
Don't worry, your makeup looks
You're not
great.
on camera.
He's going to.
So does your
I took
hair.
my
Well,
eyelashes
she's got her eyelashes on.
She does
off.
not.
No, I don't. I took them off.
You
They
just-
look long.
We were talking and you just walked out here and sat down and started talking.
We're on a podcast?
Right
Yeah, he's
now.
going to upload it in a little while.
So,
No, it's not a podcast. It's with a camera too.
So I want to say
It's a
something.
vlog session.
but
Steve's brother is a pastor in Florida.
Okay.
So this guy has been such like he was talking about, you know, we don't believe the same necessarily, but it's so encouraging to see people, like you were saying, look past that and love one another. You know what I mean? Like just our friendship, man, and the way that you've always been there for me. And I know I'm on fire sometimes. I could be a little much with Jesus, and you've always just, because a lot of people don't like that. You know what I mean? But you've always loved me, you know, and accepted me, and vice versa. And I feel like, I don't know, man. I just want to say
I set it down there. I set it down there. You know, I think that, I don't know. I think that I admire anyone that chooses to live an ethical, moral, and faithful life, regardless of the destination that they choose, regardless of the pathway that they choose. You're putting in the work and you're putting in the effort. I got respect for it. That's just how I am. You know, like, I think that it's important to honor and kind of recognize those that are choosing to live that lifestyle.
Yeah, and that's one thing. Like, I'm a GSR of my Narcotics Anonymous group, and you know, I've had NA does not own the word recovery.
We were talking about this earlier
Yeah,
today.
they don't own the word recovery. And number one, number two is that I don't go in there blasting anything about Recovery Unit, and I don't go in there blasting anything about Narcotics Anonymous outside of it. I respect both sides of their opinion of it, but the thing about it is like some people say, well, you can't talk about God in there or this thing. The reality is, man, if my God is who He is,
You're allowed to talk about God. You're not allowed to talk about Jesus.
we can't.
We've had this conversation.
Yeah. But if my God is who He is, and He is the author, He is the finisher, He is the one that conquered the grave, He is the one that got up, He is the one that was in a borrowed tomb because it wasn't needed very long. That He can go anywhere and everywhere He wants to, regardless of what man's rule is. That He can work right through somebody without His name even being mentioned. And that's who He is to me. Now, I'm just there to plant the seed in the faith, and He is the illustrator on how it can be done to where nobody is offended. And sometimes they are, because He didn't really care if they were offended.
Oh, he was the most politically incorrect person.
Well, he was insufficient in human standards. Everything he did was like not right, but he did it his way, so he was inefficient to us. But he was, you know what I'm saying? He was sufficient to God. But that doesn't matter because His way is higher than our ways. We can't think like Him. We can't comprehend like him. He's above
We
everything.
can't turn water into wine, or we can't feed 5,000 with a fish sandwich.
That's right.
But he can.
That's right.
So today, I want to know what everybody's experience was, start to finish.
Dude, I'm like,
Right.
Start to finish.
Yeah, like what? Just the overall, like,
you got mine already.
because you said some stuff before we started.
Dude, I was
About-
crying on the way back
Yeah.
here. I felt like I disappointed, and it was all my fault. I was like, seriously, I was just like, man, I should have got up. Even though I got here late, I should have got up early. What's wrong?
Yeah, but I'm talking about once we got here, once we started getting dressed, and the day started.
I was
You're
ready.
talking about-
I was ready
Trying to
for
get him
it.
to say that it inspired him to get married.
Yeah. But now listen, I was ready for it to be over with until it started. Then I was ready for it not to end, except for the cold, and I was over shaking. But man, I was like,
he was standing in front of him
when
and
you walked
shaking.
around that corner and everybody went crazy, that's when it kicked in. That's when it this is real, and this is really going to be really good. And it will. But don't get me wrong, I would have drove 12 hours in the rain on a Friday night to North Carolina through the mountains if I didn't want to be here. You know what I'm saying? If I didn't want to be here, I would have done like some other people might have done. But I didn't, and I wanted to be here for y'all because you know why? I know y'all would be there for me. And that's what grace does. That's what God does. He'll go wherever for you.
Yeah, he battling too.
It's hiding.
Oh, be nice.
It's their loss.
For me, it was the culmination of being on a journey with them as my friends, and I don't get to see them nearly as often as I would like. I live 9 hours away, and I just love you both so much. There's just certain people that that the Lord has set aside. Like, these are your people, but they haven't made me a Cherokee Indian yet. And they
they ain't put me on their own yet. So
Don't worry, I'm almost there. So once I get in there, I'll let you know.
Wait, he's getting in too?
Yeah. Honorary member. Yeah.
I'm supposed to be. I see they've been throwing this around real easy.
I got me a beautiful Cherokee girlfriend.
Oh yeah, that's how he's about to be adopted. Yeah.
Is that what has to happen? I gotta get me a Cherokee.
Got your
What
Cherokee
about you
husband.
guys? Then do you get honorary
No,
status? No, you don't
You
get married in?
get benefits.
Let me ask y'all this. How come y'all have to live on the reservation to get y'all's per diem, but in Oklahoma they don't have to? They can
We
live
don't
wherever.
have to live.
You don't have to live? Oh,
No,
yeah.
you
You can live
still
in
get
freaking
it.
Antarctica.
Now
You get your per cap check.
Healthcare works.
If you move to Alaska,
So,
you'll get 2 checks.
Yeah, if you just move there.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Rich is over there. Rich
Yeah,
is
oh
over
yeah,
there nodding her
they
head.
pay them like $10,000.
You got to be there for X amount of time.
Oh, that's a lot.
They'll give you the land though too.
But listen, you live in Alaska. You know, like you better pay somebody.
Like it's
$10,000.
only like light outside 3 months out of the year.
Yeah, it's pretty
It
miserable.
goes dark and it's just like, hey,
It's pretty miserable.
I want to go over our
How about y'all? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hear about your experience.
Oh goodness.
Because here's what I observed. I observed Caleb, and I wasn't in much of y'all's stuff, but I observed Caleb, super calm, and you were talking when we were waiting in line.
Yep.
I observed Caleb, super calm, super casual. People because we were hanging out here all afternoon in the kitchen and chilling. People kept coming up to you that were arriving, guests and stuff, like, "Are you nervous? Are you nervous?" And he was just cool as a cucumber all day long. And then right when Caitlin's mom was like, "All right, it's time to line up," I noticed a shift in his
Yep,
demeanor.
that's very true.
And he's like, "I got to go to the bathroom."
Yeah.
And then
He
we're
was
all
gone for like 20
and then we're
minutes.
all lined up just waiting and waiting and
He
waiting.
does this on runs too when he's nervous.
And then he's like, "All right," and he's going around trying, "I'm gonna do Facebook Live and all this stuff." And she's just ready to like send him out to walk the aisle. And he's like, "I gotta get my Facebook
I'm
Live
so glad
going."
we
And
did.
he was kind of like, he went from like calm and cool and collective to like pacing around a little bit. And like, so what was going through your
What was the
mind
shift?
in that shift? Yeah, because you saw it,
Yep.
I saw it.
So I could feel something in the spiritual realm, like moving, right? And it just spoke to my spirit. And then I seen everybody down there and not just the amount of people, but I could feel the love of them. And I knew that as soon as that hit my spirit and it sat there, it was like I already knew I was gonna be a wreck, but it was like I don't know if I'm gonna be able to say one word. it was that overwhelming, and I was standing down there, and I was just in my head, and I was thinking about my dad. I wish my dad would have been here to see this. I wish he got to experience this with me and meet Caitlin and just having my son here, one of my sons, and all the kids, knowing that the kids got up at 6 o'clock this morning like it's Christmas.
Did they?
Yeah, wanting to we want to get ready. We want to get ready. Braid our hair at 6:30 in the morning. Mom's like, lay down.
Right.
We got 8 more hours before you start getting ready. And so I was thinking about that, and then I seen Caitlin come down the steps, and I was just overwhelmed by how stunning and beautiful.
Amazing.
Yes.
You got a twin? I'm kidding.
Before Kaylin shares her experience, I want to know what influenced the law enforcement attire on the kids.
Oh, the FBI.
Yeah, where did that come from?
That was Nancy,
Okay.
wasn't it?
Yeah,
Is it protecting
it wasn't
the-
because of our past or nothing, but that's pretty.
But
funny.
that is pretty.
funny.
We could use that.
Yeah, so we'll start telling
use that.
people that.
But what was really cool too,
Yeah,
speaking of
FBI.
law enforcement, is we had prosecutors here.
Prosecutors, we had law enforcement. Betty was a magistrate.
Yeah.
Betty's put me in jail multiple times.
That's hilarious.
And we
so
went to the
wild.
beach together. She's one of my really, really good friends. She's helped my friend Yvonne throw my bridal shower. So I went from her no, your butt's going to jail to let's go to the beach together.
to messaging and saying I need you to pray for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of deep spiritual conversations, so I'm glad to be able to be that
And the same thing was Shelley.
in her life.
Shelley's a prosecutor for Cherokee, and I get to train her, and
we
in the
ran
gym,
together.
and-
Yeah.
Come to talk with us in a couple of weeks.
That's right. So it's just the shift and the turnaround and
Well, even
The
having
full
the
circle
chief
moment.
and
Yeah.
council
Council
members at
members.
her dang wedding. What the? You
The
know?
chief was at the wedding?
Oh,
Yeah,
he's
he's
standing by there.
What would you say? I mean,
he's packing for. He actually dipped out. He was supposed to be packing for a vacation, right? He showed up here and he had to go back home, so he had to jump on a plane. So I mean
That's good stuff. That's the turnaround.
that is
Something you would never expect.
Well, like Heidi kind of hated, I can't believe that people that you have haters in your own community when you're doing the work.
Exactly.
But then you have those level of people showing
Well,
up.
it's just like preaching the gospel. If everybody likes you, you ain't preaching the gospel.
right.
You know, if you don't have haters, if you don't have people who come against you,
Yeah.
you ain't preaching the gospel. Because people are offended by the gospel.
What was your day like?
So Heidi asked me. She was like, when she was doing my makeup, she said, "Are you as calm as you look?" And my answer was, because everybody had been asking me that all day, and my answer was that I had a peace about it, about everything. I
Yes.
wasn't nervous. I was very encouraged because I know that this is the man I want to spend the rest of my life with. Like, there wasn't any, am I making the right decision or anything like that? Like, I just felt the presence of God.
I don't think I've ever seen y'all part. I mean, I'm sure y'all have, but I've never seen y'all part.
we do.
Oh, yeah, we're
I went to
Well, I mean, y'all got
Even our
different
work.
jobs. Y'all work at
Even-
different places. I know that. I'm saying, personally,
right.
y'all've worked together and everything as a team.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. Is like outreaches and going places to. It ain't like it's you can't go somewhere with. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna go if you can't. The other one can't go or something. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are a team. Y'all are.
We definitely, I think we work really well together. I had put that in my speech, but I didn't say it, but just talking about, like two flames and individually, we both have this unique, strong flame as leaders, as spiritual leaders, as just individually being who we are, but together, as with any two different flames, you put it together and it's going to burn that much brighter, and that's exactly how we are. I mean, we complement each other very well, and we do work extremely well as a team.
Good choice on the braiding too.
One of the things that
Better than candles today with wind blowing.
one of the things that really spoke to me when we was out there and we was getting ready to finish everything up during the ceremony is when a lot of times I'll be in my head or I'll be thinking, and Caitlin will have her hands up praising. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm standing here thinking, overthinking things just in my head. I need to be praising with her. And so when her hands go up, my hands always it's just a natural reaction, just to praise and we sharpen one another like that.
Proud of you guys.
So, very emotional. Once I started walking down the steps with my dad, that's when I was like, oh my gosh, here we go.
Well, it's like we've all been to many weddings, right? Not Dusty shaking his head. No,
I'm saying
We've been to
that's
handful
what
of
that's what made it that's what made it the best.
It was
seeing how it impacted. Because, you got to imagine what's flashed through his head. At one point in time, he was probably thinking about when he was going to bury you. And now he's walking you down the aisle and you're getting married.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's giving you away. So that how that went through his head. That impacted somebody's lives in so many different ways that today did, and especially me. I felt it.
Yeah.
To the point where you told us
I may get married again one day.
You've been doing all this just to
cut it.
Yeah, all right, we're going. Bye.
Hey, listen, I'm getting
Caleb-
tired. I'm
Caleb-
getting delusional over here.
Caleb knows that's all. Hold on. We're gonna let the lovebirds go. Favorite part of the day. Round table. We're out of here.
Favorite part of the day.
Favorite part of the day.
Bouquet.
Oh my gosh, that was
Okay.
My
hilarious.
favorite part of the day was when they said, I now pronounce you as
My favorite part of the day was, probably when you, like I said, when you made that corner and everybody went crazy down there. That's probably
and the fireworks at the end.
Fireworks were
That
cool.
the guys at the
That
end
was
doing the
awesome.
fireworks were the coolest guys.
That was cool.
The guys at the end lighting the fireworks.
Fireworks.
The handoff from father.
Yeah, that was
I got that.
Powerful.
I got that
Ian
frame by
Laboha
frame
tribe
by
was
frame
playing
by
Yes,
frame by
here,
frame.
yes.
and we were all
Dude,
singing.
that was good. Yes,
Oh, that
yes.
was so good.
But in the living room,
Before,
Yes.
So
You
the
could just
thing,
feel Holy Spirit just like hovering in the room.
my
It was
dad.
Oh,
I
I
would-
got
you
your
know-
whole prayer on tape.
I would have never prayed like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like I did, when I come in.
Yeah, send it to me.
I just wanted to, the thing with my dad is I've always been a big daddy's girl. Like, and honestly, that's part of my story is like that. I used to smoke weed with my dad and we'd drink together and stuff, and so now just how we've
Those are
both
sound
been
effects,
My brother
we've
did it.
both
My
been
mom still.
transformed, but like my dad's always been my best friend, and so just him seeing his first daughter that he ever brought into this world, giving her away.
I was wondering if he was threatening Caleb's life and was whispering in Caleb's ear. I was
That's
listening.
right. What did he say?
Shoot you in your sleep.
He said,
What did he say?
He is.
you didn't hear him?
No, I didn't hear.
He said, I'm giving her to you. I know you'll take good care of her.
I'll shoot you in your sleep.
But don't think I'll come find you.
Hey, he was having a tough time.
He was most of the day.
Most of the day he was having a tough time.
He was.
And
He was freaking out. Oh, one thing that y'all didn't know is we stood outside for about a minute. It was just silent. Me and him was standing shoulder to shoulder, right? Just looking down that way. And did he ask me if I was ready, or I might have asked him? But anyways, we just stood there. It was just really quiet, just eerily quiet for like a whole solid minute. And finally one of us broke the silence and everything. And I was like, I'm excited. He's like, yeah, it's a big day, man. It's a big day. But I could just feel it, He was just so nervous.
We're leaving.
Yep.
No.
Send that to me right now, please.
All right, we're out. Thanks, y'all.
Hey,
NC Raw. Hey, who are you? Recovery Union. Where do they find you?
I'm
What are
the
the
founder of Recovery Union. You
No.
can look me up at www.recoveryunitinc.com or We Do Recover KY or
Instagram, Twitter?
KY Recovery. .com or Recovery Unit Inc. We are a certified, verified nonprofit on Facebook.
Drop some dollars. Heidi, got some information to share? Anything? Contact? Anything like that? Anything to plug? No plugs? Good
I have
night.
no plugs.
Peace.
Thank y'all so much. And this guy
Jesus,
here,
just Jesus.
he's worth $5 all day long.
Send it.